Hi, this is Karthik from Design School by Wpalgoridm. I'm a web developer and a WordPress creator. I make WordPress and Elementor tutorials for beginners. So if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and hitting on that bell icon so you get notified of every new video I make. In this video, I just want to explain how to use Acf Pro's repeater fields along with Elementor using dynamic content for Elementor plugin. Elementor Pro cannot handle Acf Pro's repeater fields. It can handle most of the Acf fields but not repeater, flexible content and stuff like that. So in order to handle that, you need to get dynamic content for Elementor. If you don't have the plugin, you can get it from the link in the description. In the previous video, we discussed about how to handle Acf repeater fields. In this, we'll take a step further and we'll discuss nested repeater fields, how to use them, and how to make Elementor templates out of Acf Pro's nested repeater fields. This video is a part of playlist called Advanced Custom Fields Tutorials, in which we discuss how to build advanced WordPress websites using advanced custom fields. So you can check out that playlist if you're absolutely new. Once you have dynamic installed on your website, let's get started. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, repeater is a part of Advanced Custom Fields Pro. So when would you technically use a repeater field? So let's say you have a website about books and books written by various authors. So you'll just create an author repeater field to enter data about the author, and typically that would include information such as name of the author, bio of the author, and then within that author repeater field you'd have details related to books written by the author. And not just book names, you want to have details like book name, book title, number of units sold worldwide, price of the book. So within that author repeater field you'd have a book repeater field. So that's how you nest repeater fields. Let's actually create the repeater fields. So I'll just click on add new, and this is Advanced Custom Fields Pro 5.9 beta. I'm rocking beta, so if you're wondering about the interface, so I'll say author info. So this is the field group that I'm going to create. I'll just click on add field, and this field should be a repeater itself. So I'll choose repeater for this field. So I'll say author, field name will also be author, and within this we'll have details such as name of the author, and that's text. I'll have one more field, and that's biography of author. That's actually text area. You can also have age of the author and maybe other achievements by the author. You can have another repeater field for that. But within this author repeater field, I'll now create a repeater field called book, or you can also call it books, just to keep track of each and every book written by the author. Now there are multiple authors, so they can write multiple books and you have to keep track of them, and that's possible by repeater field. Under field type, I'll just click this and choose repeater again. We're essentially nesting repeater. Now since this is a repeater field itself, you need to create subfields of this book. So just think of this as an object. So this object has various properties, right? So within this subfield, you want to have title of the book, and that's text. And then you want to have units sold worldwide, and that will be a number. And then you want to have price of the book, that will also be a number but in floating digits. I'll just choose this and number, and you can show the title of the book when this is collapsed, when this repeater field is collapsed. And here when the repeater field, you can show the name of the author, right? I'll just close this here. Locations, post type is equal to post. This is fine. I'll leave everything as is. I'll just publish this field group. Now I'll create a new post. I'll click on add new. I'll just call it books, all the books, all the authors or meet the authors. Now I'll scroll down and you see the first repeater field which is of the author. Now I'll just simply click on add row, and this kind of display is a bit clumsy, so we need to change the type of display for author. So I'll click on edit and I'll choose this from table to block, or you can actually change it to row. We'll choose row here. I'll update this. I'll publish this and reload the page. Let me reload the page or the post, and the interface of the fields will change now. And this looks better, right? So now we can clearly see the name of the author. I'll fill in the first name, some bio, and within this we have book repeater field. I'll just click on add. You can also choose the layout of this, but I think this is fine. The first book is a WP book. Units sold worldwide are 1000. Price is 199. I'll duplicate this twice. A Guten book, and this will be 2000. This price I'll just change it to 299. And the last book is an Elementor book, and I'll change the units sold worldwide to 3000 and this to 399. So this is the first repeater field, and the name is Karthik. We have the book information here. Now let's duplicate this and change the values. So you can hold down shift key in 5.9 version and you can click this plus button and that will duplicate the row. Usually it's plus button, but when you hold down the shift key it becomes duplicate row button. Now I'll simply edit this. We'll just change the information, maybe a WP book 1, this one, something like that. I'll duplicate this again, hold down shift key, duplicate. This is the third repeater field and third author, and I'll change this to 2, this to 2, and this to 2 as well. So those are the three repeaters and the nested repeaters. This is a book repeater field which is nested into the author repeated field. And when I collapse them, you can see all the authors. So Karthik, John and Alvin. Now this is our page. I'll simply hit update. This information is now there within the post. That's really great. Now we need to design a template to show these repeater fields or nested repeater fields in the form of Elementor template. Let's go ahead and do that. And this is possible because of dynamic content plugin. So let's go ahead and design templates for it. Now you need to think about it a bit because you won't be able to see the preview of the templates created with dynamic. Well, that's kind of a bummer, but let me tell you. So we have 2 or 1 level of repeaters, right? So first we need a template to show this repeater field, maybe a format to get this repeater field. So once you create a template for this, you need a template for the next level repeater field, which is the author field. So I'll call this book repeater field loop level 1 and the repeater field or the template for author repeater field loop level 2. Then we need to have a mega loop that displays both the loops. It might sound confusing, but if you have 1 level of nesting, you need 3 fields. So essentially the total number of templates you have for repeaters is the total number of repeaters plus 1. Since we have 2 repeaters, we need 3 templates to get all the fields properly. And let's start with the bottommost one, and I'll call it template level 1 or loop level 1. So I'll click on page. It can be a page or a section. I'll call this loop level 1, or you can say book level 1, or you can say book loop, anything you want. I'll just call it loop level 1 so that I understand what it is technically. I'll hold down command key and click on create template. That will open up in a new tab. Now we need another template for level 2, and I'll hold down command key and click on create template. That will open up another tab. Now once we create both the loops, we need a mega loop. I'll just call it mega loop, and I'll hold down command key and create template. So this is loop level 1, this is level 2, and this is the mega loop that will contain both level 1 and level 2. So level 1 loop is for the book data. So we're trying to get repeater fields. So this should not be a repeater but a template with dynamic tokens. So I'll just click on this, create a section with a minimum height of whatever, and since we have three variables here, title, units and price, I'll just create or show them in the form of an icon list. I'll just click this, I'll search for icon list widget, I'll just click on icon list, drag it, and we'll just use dynamic tokens for loop level 1 that will show the information of the books. So I'll click on the dynamic tags, and we're essentially going to use dynamic tokens for books. I'll click on the token again. Well, the token is simple. You just say ACF and the field name. So the field name here is title. You need to open up the field group here. Now we need to click on books. Since we are designing a template for books, we need to get the field name of book. It is title. So in loop 1, so this element will be title. Like I said, you won't be able to see the preview because we're designing templates, and once the template gets the data, the actual data is displayed. So you need a little bit of imagination for this, but it's quite easy. So the first field or the first icon list item will be our title, and the second field will be units. So I'll just click on list 2, click on dynamic tags, scroll down, click on token again, ACF, and the field name is units, so I'll use units there. So this is the second icon list item, and the third icon list item text will be, I'll click that, the same thing, but this time we'll get price. So this should be ACF price, right? Now let's also change the icons. You can choose any icon or the custom icon. I'm actually graphically formatting the data so that it's easier to read and it's user friendly. We just don't want to show the items as a list or grid of items, right? I'll just randomly pick 3 icons for the 3 fields. Maybe I'll pick this. I'll add space between the icons. I'll align them onto the center. I'll also change the color and also the size of the icons. Also the text color should be black. Also text, I'll make it bigger. Like I said, you have to imagine. Just imagine text being next to the icon. So we have icon, text and stuff like that. Or let's actually keep it to 20 pixels because 40 pixels will be too long. So we'll just keep it at 20 pixels. If you want, you can maybe give it a white background for the section. And I'll publish this loop. Now this loop will get the book template, right? So the book template or the book repeater will use this loop template. So within loop 2, we have to create a section. This is where it gets a bit tricky. Now we have a loop template for books, right? So this loop 2 is for the author loop and also to get the book loop. In order to get the book loop, you need to use the Acf Repeater widget. So I'll search for Acf and I'll click on repeater. I'll drag it into this section. And once you drag repeater widget into this, it will ask you to pick the repeater. First, we want to pick the repeater of the book. So I'll choose books here. And instead of rendering them in this format, we'll use the template which is loop level 1. And that's the reason why we created a separate template. So I'll click this. And it's this one. So it's loop level 1. If it's not available, maybe you have to publish it and refresh it, and that's how you get it. So I'll publish this. Now within loop level 2, we have the template for getting the books. What about the authors? Now you need to do the same thing that you did for books for author. Now we are one level above. Now we need to get the data of the author, and the data of the author is this: name and bio. Books, we are getting the book data by using the book repeater field, right? So by using loop level 1 template, we are showing that in the Acf repeater field. You may not see it here, but you will see it in a bit. So the next thing that you need to drag are the ways in which you want to display author name and bio. I'll just choose author name and bio, maybe in the form of a widget. I'll use another widget just to display name and bio. Now to display name and bio, I'll use icon box widget. I'll just click this. You can format it and choose any widget with dynamic tags. I'm just choosing this. Maybe I'll pick an icon for this, or maybe this. And the heading, I'll just link it to a dynamic token of author. Click on token again, and this is ACF colon, and the author name is name. So you have to type the token. So this is the title, that becomes the title, and the description, I'll just make it author's bio. Click on token again ACF colon, and it's bio, so we'll just use bio. And the third thing that we have in the author repeater field is the books repeater field. So in order to map the repeater, I just had a repeater of books, but the repeater of books is not normal repeater, but it's using the template designed for books. We'll actually change the icon size as well. I think it's too big. We'll keep it at 32. I think that would be better. So this loop gets the individual data of author and also the loop of books. Now we're not done yet. We also need to loop this whole thing in the form of a repeater, because the author itself is a repeater. So in order to do that, we are going to use mecha loop, and this is the reason why I created a mecha loop. Loop level 1 will get individual details of books, which are then displayed in the loop level 2 using repeater, and loop level 2 gets the book repeater field and also the author details, but we want a loop of this whole thing, and that's the reason why we're going to create a mega repeater. And this mega repeater will have nothing but just the repeater of the author, or loop level 2. So I'll click on ACF repeater. Don't be confused. Once you see the results, you'll understand this. It's basically breaking it down into templates and showing each subpart. This is a bit of pattern in the programming. That's what you do. Anyway, now I'll just choose repeater, author repeater, and the template is not any other template but loop 2 or loop level 2. And that's the reason why we need mega loop. So this is loop level 2. We'll publish it, and the book render mode can be a slider, because all the books will be listed in the form of a grid. We'll just correct that. So I just click on loop level 2 repeater, click on render, and I'll say natural for that. I think natural would be good. I'll update, or let's actually make it a carousel or slider. I'll update. You also have options to choose for render mode, slides per view. That's great. I'll also add a heading below this loop which says books by this author. Let's also make it a bit bold. Also want to align it onto the center. So this is the loop level 2 template. which gets its book template from loop level 1, and the whole book and loop authors is actually retrieved by this ACF in the form of a mega loop. Now we are not done yet. Don't be confused, it's quite easy. So I'll just right click this. We need this mega loop as a part of our design, right? So we need to paste this mega loop into our single post design. We'll create a new single post layout. We'll just create a new page, use dynamic template system to make this work. I'll call it ACF nested loop single. I'll just click on create template. I'm not going to do anything, but I'm just simply going to paste this mega loop into this, so that whenever we are creating a new post, this mega loop will be applied with all the loop data. I'll simply paste this. Again, you may not see the preview. That's kind of a bummer because we are getting data from multiple ways and it's impossible to display the data. So once you publish this ACF nested loop template, you need to make this or assign it to the template system in dynamic. I'll click on dynamic template system. For single post, I'll click this and I have to assign that. Maybe I'll just make it full width. Click on save settings. That's a mouthful of loops. Don't worry about that. Once you see the results, you'll understand. I'll add a new post. Let's see how our data will look like. I'll say my favorite authors and I'll click on add row, name, I'll add books, you can also add decimal point. I'll just duplicate this twice. Okay, let's also duplicate this a couple of times so that it will speed up. Some random data for this and also for this. I'll just change this to John, change the bio to John. Now we have 3 repeater fields, and within each of the repeater field we have 3 sub repeater fields. You can have as many as you want and that will be dynamically added. It doesn't have to be 3. I'm just showing it so that you'll understand. We'll publish. Let's see how our template is applied. I'll click on view post. Hopefully, if our logic is correct, it will take all the loop data and display it in the format that we specified. And just like that, you see now the loop is a bit messed up. We need to stretch it out and do like that. So first it's showing the author called Karthik and it shows books by this author and the book name and the book unit sold and the price in the format. It just has one field. Again, it's showing the author John, books by this author. It's showing in the form of a carousel. Again, the third author. Now this is not exactly graphically formatted, but you now see that it's getting the whole design from the mega loop and displaying the data in the form of a loop. You can make this better. You can go to the slider carousels and adjust the settings, make this full width and tweak the settings, so that will become really great. But you can understand that the author name is formatted into the icon box and the book data is formatted into a carousel, and that's happening for each of the author because of the mega loop. Again, if we go back from mega loop, this mega loop essentially contains loop 1, loop level 1 and the other things that we specified in the loop level 2, right? So what exactly is loop level 1? Again, it's going one step down, and loop level 1 is essentially nothing but this. So whenever there's a repeater of loop level 1, it will get this template, and whenever there's a repeater of loop level 2 or whenever there's a repeater of author, it will get this template. We are essentially having a repeater of author, which is the reason why we are getting the mega loop template, which is the icon box plus the slider carousel of all the books written by the author, and you can see all the data displayed graphically in that way. It's your job to format this, adjust the carousel settings, and it'll look good. Now this is just an example. You can format it into any widget. You can even format this data into maybe third-party widgets such as dynamic content plugin widgets, or you can create a widget using unlimited elements and you can format this into that. But you basically get the idea. We essentially filled this data into our Gutenberg interface, and the output we are getting is this, right? Books by this author and all the books and sold prices. You can also design a loop, another loop for book, and maybe get that, but you basically understand how it goes. So you have to start from the bottommost loop. So the first thing is the firstmost subfield, which is books. So we design loop level 1 for books. Once we are done designing loop level 1, we go to loop level 2, where we get that loop level 1 book data in the form of Acf Repeater template. And then in loop level 2, apart from getting the book repeated, we're also designing the data for the author itself. So we're getting that in the form of dynamic tokens. Again, the token is quite simple. You just need to click on token, ACF and colon, field name within square braces. It's quite simple. So even if it's repeater field, it will get the data just like that. And finally, you'll copy this whole thing into a mega loop so that it doesn't mess up, or you can simply copy it from loop level 2 itself. I'm just copying it into mega loop so that you understand how it's done. So loop level 2 doesn't have repeater. Again, we need to repeat this whole thing. That's the reason why mega loop is essentially a repeater of loop level 2. And once this mega loop is formed, you can then use mega loop in your single post design, and that will let you enter data like this in the form of repeaters, nested repeaters, and show it in the form of Elementor templates, just like this. John, author name, bio, and again the sub repeater fields are properly formatted, as you can see here. So this is how you do nesting of ACF Pro's repeater fields. It's quite powerful. It might sound confusing, but you follow each and every step I mentioned in this video, and you can basically achieve as many loops as you want, but don't try to go beyond 2 loops or 2 levels of looping. That will confuse you. Hopefully I made it clear how to nest templates and how to create Elementor templates out of nested ACF loops. That's it for now. Let me know what you guys think, and this will be in the advanced custom fields playlist and also in the dynamic content playlist. If you don't have dynamic, consider getting it from the link in the description. That's it for now. Hopefully you understood this. I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.